You're listening to Made of More with Laura O'Donoghue, proudly sponsored by Empower Fitness Carlow. Train with world-class coaches and join classes built for lifelong results. Get stronger, feel better, be empowered. Find us on Instagram at Empower Fitness Carlow.
Hi, it's Laura O'Donoghue, and welcome back to Made of More. If you're tuning in for the first time, this podcast is all about the strength we discover when life doesn't exactly go to plan. Each week, I chat with people who've taken their struggles and turned them into something stronger. This season of Made of More is sponsored by Empower Fitness Carlow. Train with world-class coaches and join classes built for lifelong results. Get stronger, feel better, be empowered. Find them on Instagram at Empower Fitness Carlow. So, let's dive in. This is Made of More. Today we are joined by Angela Doyle Stuart, the sister of Lisa Doyle, whose life was tragically taken by her fiancé in 2009. Angela is here to honour her sister's life and share her story, not just as a victim of violence, but as a person who was deeply loved and who mattered. We are honoured to have you on the couch to tell her story. Thank you for being here, Angela.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, it's so nice to have you on the couch, and I know it's something really hard to talk about, but I think it's good to hear about these sort of situations because it brings light. We can try give as much advice as we can. But first of all, just let me ask and tell me about Lisa.
Yeah, so it is difficult sometimes to capture who Lisa was, when I'm talking about her, because she was so many things. She was just, she was my little sister. So she was only 24 years old when she was murdered. She obviously was funny and bright and just bubbly and just full of light. I always say she brought the light into a space whenever she came into it. She was just really, really good. She loved fashion. She loved us. She loved her siblings. She loved her family. She was just really... She was one of those people that you couldn't argue with. If you wanted to give out and have conflict, Lisa just didn't do conflict. She wouldn't, I remember once trying to complain about somebody to her, and she was like, I'm having none of it, Angela. I don't want to hear about it.
That's such a lovely quality, isn't it? Oh my God.
And she was like that. And she was like, no, I'm not getting involved. And she was like, you just need to let it go. And then I'm like, yeah, I'll let it go. This is, that's how she was. She would never have a bad word to say about anybody. She just didn't do that. So she was that kind of person. And she was it was interesting because at her funeral, so many different people come up to me of all ages, and there was this elderly woman come up to me. She goes, Lisa used to come and sit with me. She'd call every week and she'd see me, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that. And then the parish priest said Lisa would call up for tea, and I'm like, I didn't know that.
She's such a kind heart.
She was that kind of person. She just loved people and she loved connection, and she was just really funny. And the other night I was contacting my other sisters, going to a party. I have a party this weekend, and I was saying I can't figure out what to wear, and sending in pictures into the group. And then one of my sisters said, oh my God, if Lisa was here now, she'd tell you straight away. You'd know. And you would trust it, and you wouldn't be second guessing yourself, because Lisa was so fashionable and she loved fashion and she loved all of that. So it's in those moments where you realise, not just because of fashion, but it is that connection that's severed that you don't have. You have your memories, you have, all of that, but you don't have the person. You no longer are able to have those conversations. You're not able to reach out. That's gone. That's gone forever. That's no longer available to us. And I think that's the harsh reality, and that's the hard part. But in terms of Lisa, I feel her around me a lot. I feel her in the work that I do, not in my day job or that, but in the work I do when I raise awareness or if I give talks and stuff. Okay. I notice it, and it's because I spoke in the EU Parliament in June. I was invited over to speak there, and it was lovely. Yeah. And then I've spoken at a few different events and different conferences. And when I look back at pictures of myself, like Lisa and I didn't look alike. Lisa was darker and she had big green eyes, and we were very different even in our skin. But when I look at pictures of me after I have talked about Lisa, I see Lisa in me. It's really interesting when I look at the pictures, I see her face looking back at me, not mine. So it's really interesting that way. She's on a journey with me. That's what I feel when I speak about her, but when I also kind of raise awareness around, the situation as well. I feel her there with me, but I also feel her there with me in the good times and with my family. And, there is that sense that she's still there. But the reality is, I mean, she isn't, and I can't hug her. I can't kind of talk to her. I can't say all the things that I wanted to say. That's the hard part. The loss it's huge. I mean, it's 16 years, but I mean, I still feel it like it was yesterday at times. And I think people sometimes don't think that, I think they think, oh my God, you're doing this, you do that. And you always seem so happy and you've got all of that. I have a good life. I mean, I'm very fortunate I married an amazing man and I have beautiful children. And I have great friends because I've surrounded myself with great people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still live it. I still have to work through it. It is a constant work. It's not something that is like for other people. Say, for example, like even today, before I went into work, I'm in a cafe and someone comes up behind me to give me my food, I will jump. That will alert me still.
Yeah.
I'll still deal with those. Like if someone surprises me, I still have those things.
Fright.
Still get a fright. I still have those, so they're the things that I work on constantly. The little things that other people might not
You
have
don't
to
see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
you
so
just
I
don't see
have
that.
to. So every day can be a little bit more difficult than maybe the average person's day. But I still work through it and I still deal with all those things because I have to. I have no choice. I have to exist.
You have to keep going. You just don't have a choice, and it's whatever way you can cope yourself in that moment, isn't it? When you get a fright or you get a jump because it's so unexpected.
Yeah.
It just brings that feeling back to you.
Absolutely, that's it.
When you remember Lisa at her happiest, do you remember a moment when she was like really, really happy?
Yeah, I do remember her being really excited. I was at my sister Catherine's 30th, and I remember we were at it, and I wasn't feeling very well actually that night. And she was just so excited. And my mother had died 7 years before Lisa had been killed. And Lisa said, oh my God, can you imagine Mammy would be so happy now to see us all together. This was the year before she was murdered. And she was like, she'd be so proud of us all and she'd be looking down upon us and she'd be so excited to see all of us doing so well and, getting on so great. And like just her excitement,
For other people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then when I met my husband, when she met him, she said to me, she goes, oh my God, Angela, it's like you just look different. You look really happy. She was so excited to see me.
You could see your happiness in her
face. She could
face.
see all of that. So she always loved seeing other people happy. And that's where she got her happiness. But also the week before she was murdered, she was excited about her wedding. She was talking about how oh my God, I can't wait to get married. We met with the register. She was going with a hotel wedding, but like a register at the hotel.
Yeah.
And she was so excited. I had recorded a song. She wanted to play it at it. I will not be recording any songs. It wasn't that. It was more of a gift to Stephen. And she loved it so much. She wanted to play it at her wedding.
Oh my God.
So I was like, okay, reluctantly. So there was great excitement in her that week before about her future and about her plans.
She was so looking forward to
She was looking forward to it. And that's when she was really excited. Yeah.
And when you said it to me there a little bit earlier, you feel her with you. I love that. You said that. And what way do you feel that inside?
When I feel her, well, physically, I kind of a warmth. There's been times when, like, if I'm worried about something or if something is difficult, I don't know, sometimes I just feel a sense of warmth all of a sudden. And it's like I feel like, oh, Lisa's there. And there was a perfume that she liked and I sometimes will smell that and I don't have that perfume. So there's certain things like that I kind of sense, sometimes I'm wondering, is that just my imagination? Maybe it is. It's past memories. We can tap into that. But I do feel like there's a sense there of her. I kind of believe that anyway. I don't believe when people die that's the end.
That's the end. Yeah. It's not. Their spirit does stay with you.
Yeah, there's a great sense of love and connection, and love, love is forever, as long as you love somebody, they're with you always anyway. Always. So yeah.
What was she passionate about?
She so Lisa would have trained as a hairdresser and would have studied to be a beautician. So she loved beauty and makeup and hair. But I actually think her greatest fun was working in Argos in Carlow with the people she worked with there. She absolutely loved it.
I think I remember her. I actually worked in River Island beside it. Yeah, and I do remember, Lisa, yeah, it's such a small world as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. You would have been in sure next
Would have been
door.
right beside each other, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and you would, and they were great. You know, I remember them all forming the Guard of Honour at Lisa's funeral. They wanted to do that, and they were just lovely people.
She loved working with them.
She loved working with them. She loved everyone she worked with. I mean, like I remember her telling me that, like she was in such great form. She really enjoyed it. She was really happy there, and I remember meeting her manager afterwards, and he was just a lovely guy, lovely person.
Yeah.
Seemed really nice and genuinely cared about Lisa. I could see that, you know, and was really. They were gutted, like, you know, all of them. So,
Was it a really dark time?
yeah, really dark time. Yeah.
How has her murder affected the family that people wouldn't rarely see, that you would see in the family? How?
So I can only speak for myself, so I can't really speak for my siblings because, you know,
Everyone
their
is
story is
different,
private, and for them, obviously, I chose to be more public about it, but they're very private, so I can't really speak for them. But I can obviously speak for myself, and yeah, it has impacted my life. I mean, I probably work in a different way to my siblings. So for me, I mean, I will be in therapy for the rest of my life. You know, I mean, that's without, you know, I will always be. I will always see a therapist, you know, and I think that's how I ended up training as a therapist.
So you are a therapist yourself
I'm
now?
a psychotherapist myself. So I ended up training as a psychotherapist because I found how much it worked for me. When people say
so much.
it made such a massive difference in my life, I remember thinking, going, this works. This really works. And that means what I noticed was, I know this sounds bizarre. So when I go out and put up clothes on the line, my anxiety would shoot through the roof. And I couldn't understand it. I was like, why does my anxiety go really high when I'm just putting up clothes?
Yeah.
This isn't a hard task. And then I could be in a very stressful situation in something else and it wouldn't bother me. But it was like when I became aware of things, putting up my clothes,
Okay.
my anxiety was so high because it was always there. I was only more aware of it because that was a quiet time when I was putting up my clothes on the line.
It's mad when it hits you like that, though, isn't it? Like that little peaceful moment, and then it just kind of floods you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're aware of it, and it was an ongoing thing. And then I noticed weeks in after therapy sessions, when I was putting up the clothes on the line, I went, "Oh, I'm not anxious. What's going on?" And then I went, "It's the therapy. It's being able to talk. It's being able to, you know, share your feelings, but also go to that place where you're not kind of." You get to talk to somebody that has to listen to you,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly,
which is lovely.
Yeah. And you don't know that person either.
No, and you don't know that person, but you build a relationship with that person. And that's when I realised, actually, I want to do the work on myself so that I can do this work. So doing the work on yourself first is really important if you're going to be a psychotherapist.
I was just going to say that,
you can't, if you're not ready and you're not regulated and you can't go into that space where you can mind yourself, it's very difficult to mind somebody else. So I did the years of work on myself, and then it was time for me to go in and train and do my degree. And even in that, like, you have to be inside, you have to experience therapy, you have to be in personal therapy, you have to be in supervision, you have to be in all of those areas in order to be able to sit in that space with other people. And I wanted to sit in that space with other people because I wanted to help other people. I wanted to make sure that I was doing something good in this world. I mean, being a journalist is a lovely job and I really enjoy it as well.
That's your main job, a journalist.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I enjoy that. And that's great. But I think being able to be in service to other people and help other people is very rewarding for me. And, you know, that's where I kind of feel probably that's what I needed. I needed that. I needed to go to that space. Because when you lose so many people in your life and you kind of come out and you go, what's my purpose in life? You'll always find your purpose in serving and in service to others. And that's where I needed to go. So that was really important for me.
Wasn't it so lucky that you kind of felt that in yourself? Because I know even for me, it's hard to make that choice that you have to, you know, make yourself feel better before you make others feel better. But it's so important to do the work in yourself.
Absolutely. And it's a work in progress, you know. That's
Always.
why I know I'll stay in therapy for life, because I want to make sure that I am staying grounded all the time. And therapy is the best way to do that, you know. And other areas like meditation, breath work and all of that. Like, I mean, I try it all and I
Really?
like it.
Is there anything that you really like? I did breath work before and like it did bring me to tears.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've done it with a woman in Castlecomer, and she's really, really good. and my husband and I have done it together, and then we've done it separately. It was actually my husband who said we should do this together. So he's brilliant that way, and it's your hands, your whole fingers cramp up. I wasn't the first time I did that. Like, that was incredible. Actually, I had an amazing experience during it when I did it on my own. So the experience was you had to visualize in that breath work. You go into an altered state as well. It's incredible. I say to people, like, I've never touched drugs, I've no interest in it. But if you want to go into an altered state that's safe and that's going to be, you're going to be minded in that safe
journey,
space
kinda,
with somebody. You know, and the woman I went to, she was really good. I can share her details as well if you want that.
Yeah, please. Yes, definitely.
But in that experience, I had this beautiful vision, and the vision was because my mother's dead, my father's dead, and Stephen and we'd lost our daughter in pregnancy.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
And then I had Lisa, but actually you had to I had to choose like a visual, and my visual was all my family, and it was over a bridge, and I was walking over the bridge, and because my hands were cramping up, it was really interesting. They'd gone into such a spasm that I visualized that it was my mother and my sister, and in that visual it felt like they were holding my hand. It felt like, because of the way my hands were cramping, it felt like somebody was holding them. So it was like a real physical experience as well as a kind of a spiritual one.
Was it overwhelming to you?
Oh, it was beautiful. It didn't overwhelm me at all. I actually loved it. It was really beautiful. It was incredible. It was really special. So the breath work does make a difference. You can go into those lovely
100%.
spaces. Yeah.
And you have to kind of feel safe in them spaces.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yeah.
There, you know, just kind of do your research. But there is so much out there for people that are struggling that in their control they can go to, like breath work, like yoga, Pilates. And like, they really, really make a difference.
Oh, they do, yeah. But you're right. You have to be at that place where you're ready for it and
You do.
where you want it. And, you know, for some people, it is just talk therapy. You know, they don't need to go to that space. But, I just like trying everything.
So we were just talking about just breath work and stuff, and how amazing these classes are for people, especially with loss, or they're going through their own trauma or difficulty. These classes and like yoga, Pilates, they're just amazing to have for your own self to get through things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, they do make a difference. And I think it is important because when you go through loss, you don't feel very grounded. I mean, you feel like you're floating. So you don't feel grounded into the world, and you don't feel grounded into your space. And that's a big thing. That's what happened to me. I felt like I was floating all the time, which meant, you know, I was on alert all the time. I was like, I had post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't know I had that for a few years, you know, until I kind of realised, oh my gosh, of course I was traumatised. How could you not be traumatised?
And you carry it. You carry it in different ways.
Oh, in different ways. I mean, the phone would ring and I'd drop it immediately and it would break. You know, I was breaking so many phones, the doorbell would ring, all of these things. There were like simple things. As I said, I still get startled every now and then if people come up behind me. That's a big thing. But because I wasn't grounded, and like literally, I was getting shocks all the time. You know, when people say you get electric shocks when you're not grounded.
Yeah.
I was like electrocuted the whole time.
Wow.
Literally, no matter what I touched, I would get a shock off. And that's another thing. My whole system was off. I was completely dysregulated, and trying to remain grounded and regulated when you don't feel it. So that's where I had to go in and do the meditation. That's where I had to go in and find myself and really go deep and do a lot of work there as well on my body, you know, to kind of find myself again and get back into my body. When you go through a shock, you know, they talk about that, you leave your body. You know, that part of you kind of leave. You're still here, but there's a part of you that goes. The day I found out Lisa was murdered, it was only when I wrote my book. So when I wrote my memoir about Lisa, and when I did that at the time, my husband was one of the first people to read it, along with my siblings and stuff, you know, before we were going to the publish, you know, so they would be okay with it, whatever I'd written. And when my husband read it, he said, do you not remember this? Do you not remember that? He named off all these different things. I was going, I don't remember any of that. I have no memory. I have no recollection. And that's what happened. Shock. You do kind of leave your body in the middle of that shock, and then you're coming back into it. So it took me years to get back into my body, basically, you know, to ground back into it.
That. I actually don't think I've ever heard it worded like that, like you're floating, you're not grounded.
Yeah.
But it makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And like when you're not grounded, you don't make the right decisions, or you really don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're kind of all over the place, you know, and you're like, as I said, I was so lucky. I had such an amazing partner, but an amazing family and amazing friends and people around me that I cut myself off, though, not from them, but what I did was I kind of cocooned, and my life became smaller but more protective. So what I did was I kind of closed all of the doors, so to speak, left a few windows open in my life, and only a few new people were allowed in. So what I did was I surrounded myself with people that I knew and loved and were there for me. And that was my way of kind of coping and getting through the next few years. It was the only way I could do it. And I remember someone trying to be my friend, and a lovely girl. And I wrote about that a few years later in a different way. And she messaged me. She goes, I get it now. Now I understand. I was, it wasn't me. And I didn't realise. I was like, God, it was never you. It was never about anybody else. It was about me at that time, having to come to terms with everything that I'd gone through. I wasn't able to take on new people. I wasn't able to take on a new space. I needed to mind myself. Whereas now, thankfully, I'm at that space where I'm like, everyone's welcome. I'm back.
You were self-aware, though, to know that you needed to be a little bit alone to do it.
I needed to kind of have just the right energies around me. And as I was healing, and I needed to make sure that everybody in my life had my best interests, and they did. And, I was protecting myself. I couldn't take on anything that wasn't healthy or happy, and I didn't need that at that time, or even need to give it that chance. I just needed to mind myself, and that's what I did. And it worked. And now I'm at the stage where I want to be around people. I find
you're happy around people.
Yeah, I love meeting new people. I love welcoming people back into my life now, and and I'm lucky I have a lot of new people in my life again. And because I always had a lot of friends and a lot of I loved connection. So I'm back to that space now. But it has taken these years.
Time.
Yeah, and that's okay too. It just I needed to get to that space.
Were you nervous of your family reading it for the first time?
No, because it was coming from my perspective. I want, after Lisa was murdered, I kept thinking at the time, oh my God, I need to mind my memories. I need to remember Lisa. And what if I can't remember her? She's gone. Like, all of these thoughts were going through my mind at the time. I was so traumatized. I kept on thinking, what if I can't remember? I need pictures, I need everything. And so I made a scrapbook. I made all these different things. And then I thought, what happened was somebody had reached out to me, and they'd said they were writing a story. They were writing about a few different girls that had been murdered.
Okay.
And they were going to write about Lisa, and they asked for my help. And I said, well, I was working in a newspaper at the time, and I said, if anyone's going to write about my sister, it'll be me. And that time will come. And she kind of said, well, actually, I want to introduce you to my publishers. And before I knew it, I was meeting with them, and we had a different vision. And for me, it was never about a book being published. It was about, it had to have the right vision, and that had to come from my heart.
It had to be your story.
It had to be my story, not something that was sensationalized, not something that was about him. And in the end, I felt it was going to be very about him. And that's not what I wanted. We have so many books lying in the bookshelves about serial killers and murderers, right?
Yeah.
Very few that are actually about the person that was killed. Very few of their stories out there.
And it should be their stories.
It should be their stories. It should be about them, not about glorifying serial killers and murderers.
What happened to them,
and all of that, and about their story. I had no interest in his story. It was about Lisa, and I wanted to share my story, but at the same time, it didn't bother me if it ever saw the light of day. Then I was like, well, actually, I don't really care. I've written it. It's there, and it's okay. And then what happened was, another publisher that I would have been friends with, he has since passed. He got in touch with me, and he said, Angela, have you thought more about your book? And I said, I haven't. It's there. I'm actually not bothered at the minute. I've written it, so I'm happy now. I've done what I needed to do. I have my memories. I have everything there. And then he said, well, I actually think that, Liam Hayes is somebody you should work with. And Liam would have been he would have been part of sporting books. He would have been would have been behind Brian Cody's book and people like that.
Very good.
So Liam had lost a sibling as well in different circumstances, but he knew loss, and he was sensitive, and he understood the sensitivity of me sharing my story. And I met with him and his wife, and I knew immediately. He said, so when do you want to start writing? I said, well, it's written. I've done. He was like, what? I said, yeah.
It's done.
I said, it's done. And so he said, okay, let me have a look at it. And there's very little needed changed in the book. And before I knew it was a few months. And
Did it feel kind of like therapy when you were writing it for yourself? As in when you were
writing
that story?
But what I wasn't expecting was, I didn't want the publicity. This was the funny part. So I wrote the book, and I wanted it to be out there forevermore, so that when I was dead and gone, there would be somebody who would pick up a copy.
Would be there,
Lisa would live on, because he didn't want that. He wanted to wipe Lisa out, right? That's what he did. And he didn't want anyone to have a piece of Lisa. He didn't want her to be remembered. He wanted Lisa gone. So I wanted to give Lisa back to the world. I wanted to share who my sister was. And I wanted to, when I'm dead and nobody remembers me, but somewhere along the line they will see my book and it's Loving Lisa, and they might wonder, it's in libraries and all of that, who is this girl? And maybe they'll be curious and they'll learn a little bit about my sister.
It's about your sister. It's not about him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted. That was my intention. But what I wasn't expecting was I wasn't ready for the publicity. I wasn't ready. Like I was on the Late Late Show and all of that, but there was other sides. I didn't go to the interviews and, apologised afterwards. It was too much. It was a lot. So that was the other side.
You weren't expecting that feeling.
I wasn't expecting that feeling. I wanted to just release it into the world and then walk away and let that be it. Having to be out there so soon as well after I wrote it, it was a lot. I felt very vulnerable. If I looked back now, would I change it? In one way, maybe, but in another, I don't think I ever would have released it if I hadn't. Okay. I think if I held on to it now, would I publish it now? I don't know. But I wouldn't change what I've published, if that makes sense. I wouldn't. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I put out there how raw it was for me. I think I'd censor it more now. I think I would have censored myself more now. But back then I didn't. It was raw and it was real, and it was
raw and real.
And I think people needed to read that, and people did come up to me afterwards, and so I know people had left relationships after they read it. It inspired them. Another person told me it got them through a divorce. I'm not sure how that worked, but it worked for them somehow. I was like, okay, and I really appreciated that it did for them. But so people got different meanings from it as well, and from the journey and from the story. So I wouldn't change it. I just think that I'd censor myself more now, and that's not a good thing either.
No, because I suppose you're at a different time of your life now than you were back then. You know,
I was there on a Thursday and Friday, sitting there. They were my days off in the newspaper. And I was just typing away, and it was therapy, and send it off to the publishers, and they give me feedback, and and then I got pregnant, and it was like
you had a lot going on.
And my child became my priority then, and I was happy to park it, and when it came out, then it came out. Yeah.
My God, that's just sensational. Can we just talk about the relationship for a minute, if that's okay?
Yeah. So I mean, I think with him, I never really knew him. They were together for 4.5 years. We recently met with the parole board, and sat in front of them, and we had to talk about that. And it was interesting because I said, this was somebody I couldn't really get to know beneath the surface. There was it was all surface stuff with him, even though they were together a few years. I couldn't figure him out. I didn't know what his personality was. I remember thinking, I said to Lisa, what do you talk about? And she said, lots of things. We get on great. And I was like, a lot of people put it down to he's so quiet, so he didn't say a whole lot.
There wasn't a light there that you seen much.
Yeah, I didn't see much in him. And I remember having to ask my sister what she saw. And I'm like, trying to figure it out in a kind of sensitive way, going, what do you like about him? Like, what is it? And she was like, he's really good to me. He's really kind, And by all accounts, he was in many ways. I mean, when she'd come home from work, he'd have a bath running for her. He'd have her dinner cooked. I mean, there was a lot of that there too, so, and she loved him. This was somebody that she wanted to marry. When I look back at the relationship now, probably some signs of coercive control. Okay. Lisa never had money going to work. He would turn up an hour before she would finish work. And her boss at the time said, God, do you have far to go? She was like, no, not far at all. And he was surprised. He told us afterwards, we didn't know this, that he would turn up an hour before she would finish. And that in itself, he'd sit outside.
Back now, I'm sure that's
when you look back and stuff like that. And I think that's the thing about coercive control. I mean, there's a lot more information around it now. Back then, 16 years ago, there was no information out there. And most of the time with coercive control, the victim is the last to know that they're being controlled, because it's not like physical abuse. Physical abuse, you're being abused. If somebody lays their hand on you, you know, and you can see it and you can feel it and this is happening. In a coercive controlling relationship, it's invisible abuse. In many ways, it's the emotional side of things. It's the withholding of financial means if that person's the breadwinner. In this case, Lisa was the one making money and providing, but he was taking the money. I mean, she bought him the car. He was driving the car. He would have the keys to the house. She didn't have her own set of keys. I mean, there was those things afterwards when we pieced it all together. There was a friend that said they had been over at her house. she was upstairs in her bedroom. She called Lisa up. And when she turned around, he was sitting on the bed. He had followed them up. So that really creeped her out. So that, like, you know, needing to be, control. Absolutely. That's what it is. It's those things that build over time. But this didn't happen at the start of their relationship. This started to happen towards the end of that relationship. And that's the thing that people think at the start of a relationship, those things can happen. It can be controlling. In Lisa's case, it was more so towards the end of the way it was like he was losing his grip on her, and then he became more controlling. That's the only thing I can piece it up. But also he was a psychopath. I mean, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, he had urges to kill people. He had wrote about that in his letter. So that's out there, it's public. The actual contents of that letter in itself are not public. That's an evidence. But I mean, ultimately what was said in that letter was he had urges to kill. It wasn't necessarily just Lisa. He just had urges to kill people. So yeah, that's what he wanted to do. And he admitted.
To even hear
that. And I think that's for me, he had urges to kill. He'd been carrying them for a long time. And for me, the biggest thing was he never got help for that. I mean, you know, if you are a threat to people around you and you're going to hurt another person, particularly the person you say you love, then you go get some kind of help, you know, some way, shape or form. I mean, if you're having murderous thoughts, I would rather be locked up and put into some bloody place than ever be responsible for taking a life. If I had those thoughts.
It's exactly the way I would think. It's just pure evil. Yeah,
that's it. He knew what he was capable of. And he didn't do anything about it.
That was just kind of like his plan in his head, control. And when they lose control, then they just...
And not all coercive controlling relationships end in murder. Like they don't. There's other elements that, like, he had murderous tendencies. So if we just put him into a bracket of just being coercive controlling, no, he was controlling, but he was also evil and a monster, and he wanted to kill. So they're two separate. There are people that are coercive controlling, but they would never want to kill that person.
Yes.
You know, unfortunately, coercive controlling relationships can end really badly and can be dangerous for a person trying to leave that relationship. Lisa wasn't trying to leave that relationship. She was getting married. She wanted a family. She was looking forward to her future, you know. So they had been intimate that night, you know. So they had been intimate. Lisa was falling asleep believing that the person that she had just been intimate with was somebody she was marrying and that she was happy with and she loved. So there, you know, so he just... he made sure that she wasn't going to survive that night. He's...
it's just chilling, isn't it, to even think of that?
And to think that, you know, he will be free. Like, hopefully not this year. We're still waiting. But within a few years, he will be, he will be
Angela,
out.
that must be so hard to deal with.
You know, I was saying to somebody, I mean, he's going to be in his 40s, one way or the other. Unlikely. I don't know. I mean, I want to trust our parole system. I want to trust the judicial system.
Yeah.
I want to believe that, you know, there's a lot of other elements at play in this situation, not just what he did to Lisa, but other stuff that's in evidence. So I'm hoping that plays a part. But at the same time, I mean, there's a parole board. They were lovely when we met them, very sensitive to it. But we don't know what way it's going to go. And the reality is he will be a young man when he gets out. He can have a life, he can have a family, he can have all of the things that he's denied Lisa and robbed from Lisa and taken from all of us, you know, and that's the reality. So he gets to have that life. And he wasn't remorseful, you know, I don't believe it.
That
you know, we will never learn that though. We won't, see, that's the other thing. He gets access to all of our files. So whatever we've said that day, they sent us a draft. He gets to read that.
Okay.
But we don't get to read anything on his side. We don't get to hear whether he is remorseful, whether he has been reformed, any of those things. We don't get access to that. But he gets access to all of our stuff.
But I don't think that's right either, Angela.
No, it's not right. The system is not set up for us.
You do a lot of work for that in the parole system.
Yeah, I'm in SAVE, so Sentencing and Victim Equality. There was 6 of us. John Whelan would have been kind of our founder, our main founder. We would have been founding members. There's a few of us in it, and John has done amazing work, and so has the others. But we would have been instrumental in changing the parole bill in this country. Initially, a person was able to apply for parole after 7 years. I know.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, after 7 years. And then, so it's now 12 years. Now, that didn't change our situation. We knew that. It was never going to make a difference for us, but we wanted the next people that came after us, which unfortunately, that we wanted them to have a little bit of breathing room, that they wouldn't have to be impacted the way we would have been impacted. So now they get at least 12 years before that person can apply for parole. Okay. But they can be out in 17 years. So 17 years is a life sentence. So when you read a person has been locked up for life, they have not been locked up for life. It's
And
17
that's what I would
years.
have thought of years
Most
ago,
people would have
yeah.
thought that. I mean, being shocked going to the courtroom and saying, what, 17 years? Is that all it is? 17 years? And
a
it's now
life,
16 years for a life. So he would have known, he probably would have done his research even before he did it. He would have known the reality. I was probably at my 40s, willing to take that chance. So
What age was he when that happened?
31. Lisa was 24.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He still will be a young man.
Absolutely. He will be a young man. Yeah.
That has to be extremely hard for your family and
Oh,
yourself.
100%. Like, I'm glad my parents are dead in many ways. I know that
I
sounds
know, I
ridiculous.
can understand
but
why you're
at least
saying
they
that.
don't have to be met with him. I mean, we have the opportunity of exclusion zones, whether they will be put into effect. We do not know yet, but we've put in for them. So areas that he cannot be in and counties he cannot be in, which I won't reveal all of them now because obviously for privacy of other family members. But in reality, we've had to put those in, not allowing the graveyard. You know, we don't want him near the graveyard.
Of course you
because the
don't.
chances are he may show up at the graveyard. You know, so stuff like that we have to put in. So we're still doing the work. We are going to be doing that work for the rest of our lives. And he will be on licence when he gets out, which means that if he does look in my direction and do something wrong and make me uncomfortable, I can ring the Gardaí immediately and he can go straight back to prison. So that's the difference with like another person that may have committed another crime, whatever that may be. They're not on licence when they get out. But he will be on licence. But they can move to a different country. There's many things, you know, that there's ways around it. But ultimately, if he's living in this country and if he does enter an exclusion zone and I see him or one of my siblings or whatever, we can report that and he'll go straight back to prison. So there's a bit more power there on our side than, you know, at least
There would
there
have
is
been
something.
years ago.
Yeah, but, you know, so that's the only comfort, I think. But I can't live my life looking over my shoulder for him
You
either.
can't. And you can't let him take your life too for
Yeah,
that reason.
yeah.
That's not something that you ever want. you
Yeah.
know?
No, but I mean, ultimately, I'll have to in one way,
know.
as much as I don't want to.
Yeah.
There will be that when he gets out, you know. But I will. I'll be fine.
Do they do any work when they're in prison to change when they come out? Because that's another thing that I've always wondered, if you've done such an awful thing by taking someone's life
Yeah. So a
and
lot
you're
of
going to get out in 17 years, what work have they done with that person?
Yeah, so we don't get that information.
Okay.
So, but what my understanding is, they have to have an explanation or at least an understanding of why they did what they did. That goes in their favour. When they go to counselling in prison, that goes in their favour. When they take on education, that goes in their favour. So a lot of them, if they want to get out, will do everything that they need to do in order to get out.
Whether it's for the right or wrong reasons.
And somebody, we talked about this when we were on Clareburn. I remember at the time one of my members of SAFE said, well, you know, the prison service were there and they talked about, you know, when we put model prisoner, they were a model prisoner. Why is that even a thing?
Never be a thing.
Because if you're in prison, you're going to mostly be a bloody model prisoner because
Yeah.
you're in an environment where you have control. Yeah. So that's the thing.
I don't know, it's just crazy to think, and there's so many families struggling in silence, and that's what breaks my heart. It's people that, you know, have to go through this at Christmas and have to go through it every day of their lives. And even back when COVID was happening and everyone was indoors, I always felt so sorry for people that, you know, their school was their getaway. That was their happy place. That's where they got fed. That's where they weren't near abuse. They weren't near these things. And it really made you stop and think.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't know what happens when the doors closed.
No, we don't know what's going on for people. We never know. And that's why I always think, like, you know, walking down the street, if people bump into you or whatever, I'm thinking, that's not about me. That's about something going on for them. You know, there's always that. If people are beeping the car at me or whatever, or flashing their lights, I'm thinking, that's not about me. That's about them. And that frees you when you realise people are going through so much. I think that people are suffering. You know, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of people going through a lot of difficult things, you know, and I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that's gone through something bad. And, you know, a lot of people have gone through so much worse, you know.
Are going through
like I
so
see
much
my
worse,
friend Kathleen, her two beautiful boys, you know, were killed. And, you know, Kathleen is an amazing advocate, Kathleen Chada. I mean, the work she does,
I'm so
she's
sorry.
so incredible. I mean, she's amazing. I mean, people like that, that's who inspire me as well. That just
Strong
strong,
people.
incredible women, and there's so many of them out there, and so many incredible people, not just women, and I think that gives me hope as well. And I see a lot of
Yeah.
beauty in the world. I'm surrounded by such beauty in my children and my husband. When I'm with them, my life is beautiful because of them, and I realize what's more important and what's more precious. I mean, I don't worry about what's out there. I remember thinking to myself, going, like, we invite so many people into our lives through social media.
Yeah.
We invite people to have so many commentary on our lives. People that will never know us. People that will never sit in the space with us. People that will never be there in the end when you're leaving this world. And yet we give so many people so much power over being able to speak into our lives. I don't let anyone speak into my life. The only people that will speak into my life will be my husband and my children and those that love me. So after that, if you want to be part of my life, once it's with good grace and you're good to people
Good intentions.
and good intentions, you're welcome. But other than that, you won't find a space in my life. Only the people that I find are good. And that's where I live a life full of joy. It's because
I can just sense that off you,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. I have to say, it's very empowering for me to feel that
you.
off you. Like, especially after going through so much in your life, you have such a bright light.
Yeah, but I think part of it is I'm still curious. I'm wondering what's going to come next. I'm wondering what's around the corner, and that's what keeps me going. But also, none of us were here forever.
No.
I hate the fact that Lisa's life was taken and all of the other things that have happened in my life. I would rather have lived a different life. I remember at the time thinking, this is not my life, not the life I wanted to live. But I have no choice. I have been handed all of that, and I can't take that back. So what I can do is do the best I can with my life and carry my life forward, do something good with it. So when I get to the end, one day when I'm crossing that line and all my loved ones are there with their arms wide open and going, come on, Angela, and they're smiling, I'm smiling. That's where it'll be beautiful, because if I were to live my life in darkness, if I were to live my life in suffering and to close down and not do all the things, that is the greatest injustice to my sister. She would hate that. Lisa would hate if I didn't live my life to my fullest. And she is constantly championing me. She's there in my
my God,
husband
I
and my
love that.
kids and all of them. That's where Lisa's come through. I remember thinking, who's going to champion me now? Who's going to make me laugh? And then I see it in my kids every day. I see it when they're like, Mommy, we're so proud of you, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. And they love me and I love them. And I am so loved. And when you have a love like that, oh my God, that will nurture you. That's going to carry you through, right? And they are my everything. They carry me through. That's what's making me emotional.
Oh my God,
is
you're making
them.
me emotional. But it is so true. You realise what's so important to you, and you focus your love, your respect, your energy on the people that you value and they value you.
Absolutely. That's it.
It's such a we're both in tears here.
And we've both lost
both
we've both
emotional.
lost people, that's sister.
It is very hard when you lose people though, and it's very hard to communicate.
Yeah.
And to hear you to be able to communicate so well, I'm in awe of you.
Oh, that's practice. I have to do it for years.
I know, but it's something no one should ever have to deal with, and especially the way that Lisa was taken from you. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. No, it is. And but it goes back to how we see ourselves. I remember thinking at the time, God, people are going to pity me for the rest of my life. And I hated that. I hated that feeling that, oh my God, I'm going to be that person that's pitied. I mean, who would want to be me? Who would want to ever, live my life? That was my idea of myself. Like, I don't think anyone would want to swap places.
No, but I get what you're saying.
But now I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't like to live anybody else's life. Oh my God, how loved I am every day by my husband, how loved I am about my children. I mean, I have the greatest love. If I can go out of this world, I know I've been so loved and I've been so minded and I've been so cherished. And I feel love that is so great that will sustain me for the rest of my life. And I don't know what's to come. I don't know what's around the corner, but I know it's going to be okay. And that's the part that really carries me.
Being okay, isn't it? And I know what advice would you give to people that's struggling at the minute, especially with loss or going through any violence, going through anything in their life? What advice would you give?
I suppose firstly for someone that might be in a violent situation or in a relationship, if you are looking to get out, talk to someone you can trust, somebody that will be able to help you. Don't do it on your own, and make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. There's so many wonderful people out there now, like refuges and the Gardaí and different people that can advise. There's a lot of people that are trained in those areas that can offer you advice. Like a lot of people, when they're leaving abusive relationships, that's when the worst things can happen.
Yes.
And that's when people can get hurt. So you have to be very careful about how you do it and what way you do it. So my advice is to really seek support around that before you take action, because you need to protect yourself, and you need
on your own.
No, you need a plan. You need a plan, because sometimes a person has been abused and has been kind of so beaten down that they don't know anything else. They don't see a way out.
For it either.
They've lost, God love them, they've been through so much. The fight feels like so much. So it's about leaning on somebody else, asking somebody else to kind of hold that hope for you right now,
strong
and
for you.
Get you out and support you, and go to somebody that you can trust. And that's the main thing as well, knowing you're talking to somebody, and do not feel ashamed or embarrassed. I've heard people say, I didn't want to tell somebody because I was so embarrassed that was happening to me. You have nothing to be ashamed of. The only person that has to carry shame is the person that's harming and hurting you.
Yes.
So it's really important to know that you've nothing to be ashamed of, just in case, because some people have held back about telling people because of that.
Of course. They're scared.
They're scared, and they've been through a lot, and their confidence and their self-esteem has been beaten down. Everything is, with that, if you're in an abusive relationship. But in terms of loss, I think it's just one day at a time. When a loss is like a roller coaster. So when you lose people, it's up and down. There are good days and bad days. But having gone through it a few times at this stage, it gets easier. Time. When they say time is a healer.
Yeah.
It is in its own
They always
way.
used to say that.
You just kind of go with it. You'll get good days and bad days, but I promise the good days will be stronger as time goes on, and the bad days will be few and far between. And
Yes.
and that love you feel, that continuing bond. They talk about the continuing bond theory, that you can still have a connection to your loved one, but still being able to move forward in your own life. You have people that say, I can't survive without my partner or someone that's died. It's about little steps each time, and proving to yourself that you can survive, and you will, and you'll get there.
Yes.
But also seek help. There's so many wonderful services now for free.
That's what we're just going to ask you.
Yeah.
What services are out there for people?
Well, I work out of Chalk Tom, which is
Okay.
a service. They offer free counselling and therapy to people. Or you can if you can offer a donation, and some people can't, so that's okay too.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant service, and it's there for people. They contact Chalk Tom, the service, and they will assign a therapist to that person. You've got Turn to Me, which is an online service. You get 6 free counselling sessions online.
Oh, wow, that's very, very
it's really good.
Yeah.
I do work with Turn to Me as well, so I counsel people online as well. And they show up. You open your calendar and they can book into it. And then there's BetterHelp. There's a few, and then your HSC will provide you with a full list as well. So there's many services out there. If financial means are not something that you can afford right now to pay for therapy, those free options.
There's a lot of people out there that can't.
Absolutely, it's quite expensive.
It's hard to live now, and it's hard to get these services. And I know if you're on list, it's very hard to get there and be seen.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's so important to talk about, organisations that are there to also help.
Absolutely.
And like having your plan, having your family, having support, things will be okay.
Absolutely, yeah. And people love helping. People love to, when people say, oh, I was a burden, I don't want to be a burden. People never think people are a burden. I mean, that's the thing. I've heard that, people say, oh, I don't want to be a burden. I don't think anyone's a burden. And I think if your family are around you, you will never be a burden to your family. They will love you. They will want to support you. They'll want to mind you, if you're going through something. So, obviously I know there's exceptional cases where people, might feel different. But most of the time, you're not a burden to the people that love you. They want to support you. They want to mind you.
And that
seek
talk
that
is
support.
so important.
100%.
Communicating.
Oh yeah, just share it. To talk to somebody about what you're feeling, it's just huge. Makes a difference.
Have good people in your life.
Good people. Yeah.
I've learned a lot from you, to even just saying, having that circle of people that you trust and love. If you had 2 people that do that instead of having 15 that don't, I think it's a very big thing. We have to say that them 2 people will outdo them 15 people.
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm so lucky. Like, my Karen is my co-host on our podcast,
Just going to say, you have your own podcast.
Yeah.
And the name is Pink is Power.
Yeah, that's
wow.
it. So Karen is also a therapist.
Okay.
Karen has been a therapist over 20 years,
Experience.
And she's like trained in so many different modalities and areas. It's not just therapy. But she's incredible as well. So we're always in parallel. Whatever's going on in my life is usually going on in her life. So we're always like, that's similar, that's similar. And, you know, it's great. You know,
Yeah.
we're so different in many ways and so alike in many ways as well. So, you know, they're the people that I surround myself with, people that will celebrate me and I can celebrate them in return. And I love celebrating people. I had a girl contact me recently asking me for advice.
I can feel that off,
And
yeah.
she said to me, and she said, I'm sorry to bother you. And I was replying back to her and she said, oh my God, I'm not used to this. Like it's so good to see another woman champion another woman. I'm like, geez, I feel championed all the time by the women around me. And I'm like, you are championed and I will do that for you. But please find people in your life that will do that for you as well because you deserve it. But she was grateful and it surprised me at the same time that, you know, not everyone will do that for each other. And we should rally around and get
There's
together.
not enough of that though. There's not enough of shouting in your corner for you, or if you want to do different things in your life, do it.
Yeah, do it. Absolutely.
Because your life is so short.
Yeah.
Lisa didn't get a chance to do what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
If you have that chance, just do it.
100%.
Like helping other people also. Like it doesn't have to cost money.
No, it doesn't.
Just being there for that person means so much. And that person having that talk, they can feel so much better after that talk. Because as you counselling is just fantastic for stuff like that.
It is. And just being kind. Just
Being kind, yeah,
we
exactly.
Never know,
yeah.
You know? And I think like hurt people, you know, that's what's going on a lot of the time.
Very much, yeah.
You know, so it's like remembering if a person's behaving in a certain way, there's usually a reason, not to tolerate like bad behaviour or really like violence or anything, but you know, if people are in bad form, sometimes there's a reason. It's, you know, they've got a lot going on.
Yeah, just that talk kind of makes them feel, I don't know, heard again.
Yeah.
And being heard and seen is a big thing when you don't feel like you are.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just, I just think your strength, I hope people get that from this podcast because sitting here with you is just amazing.
Oh, well,
I
likewise.
feel it.
I
thank
feel it. You know, you're offering such a beautiful space and you've got such a great way about you, you know, and it's beautiful. And I think it's incredible what you're doing. I mean, like that's what we need to be championing more of is these kind of spaces where, you know, people get to talk and share their, you know, insights as well. I mean, it's so
100%.
wonderful. Yeah.
And it's lovely to be able to help people. That's definitely what this goal for my podcast is, to help people, and especially people that don't have it so accessible to themselves, that just turning on a podcast and feeling like they're heard.
Yeah.
To me, that's my job done.
Yeah, and you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you so much.
And you're brilliant.
If you had to say something to Lisa today, I know that's a very hard question to ask.
I just tell her I love her all the time. Yeah, I go, like when I go to bed at night, I mean, she's the last person I think of and the first person when I wake up in the morning, you know. I just, I tell her I all the time, I just love you so much. And I, you know, I have beautiful pictures of her and all
Like
of that.
she was stunning. You are very stunning too, my dad. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you. As are you. You look beautiful.
I just hate that you had to go through so much trauma and sadness.
Yeah, but I'm not alone, you know. And I think that's it, you know, when you realise that there's so many people that have gone through so much and there are so many people suffering in the world, and I just didn't want to add to that suffering. I didn't want to, I wanted
to
to
try fix that, so not fix it, but you wanted to help.
Add some light into the world and kind of bring Lisa with me as I'm doing it. And that's what I'm always trying to do. I'm making the world a better place, and in my own little way. Not that I'm making massive changes, I'm just one person, but if I can do something good, then my kids are benefiting from that too.
It's the generation coming up. That's what I say. It's like I did my last guest, Mark, he was just saying, you know, the younger generations didn't go through what we went through of hard times and struggles, but we are the ones that need to educate the younger generation, because they're not going to educate themselves in that manner because they didn't live that. They didn't go through that. It is our job to try and make the future for everyone a little bit easier.
Absolutely, to do a lot for them. And like I see my teenage son, I mean, the depth that he has to his little soul, you know, for such a young
amazing?
person.
Such a young person, yeah.
And really incredible. And like, and they do go through a lot from the social media point of view. You know, there's like all these different
elements. You can't
elements.
go home and it's done.
Yeah.
It's you go home, you have your phone.
Yeah.
Years ago, we came home from school.
Yeah.
You weren't until the next day and you didn't hear of anything, or you didn't see anyone.
Yeah, it's different. So,
and I don't know how I would actually deal with that if I was a teen now.
Yeah, because they don't get to switch off. You know, they're on fire all the time. It's constant. That's why they're all so anxious as well, because they're not getting that moment where they can just breathe and connect with themselves, because everything is a connection, a notification. It's all constant.
You're
for
always
them.
being turned on.
Yeah, always. So it's hard as well, you know, in different ways. Like
it's hard on them to kind of see through it. I mean, I think we were a little bit more resilient years ago. And I even see with my own daughter, it's like you're trying to make sure that she believes in herself, she is confident, but mostly she can communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And communication has been a massive problem because kids don't know how to communicate anymore.
I know, they're losing a
And
lot
talking
of it.
as a family is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is. It's hugely important to set that time aside to be together
Yes.
and to actually chat with each other. And, you know, we do that as much as we can in our family, you know. And it is great. Like, I mean, we were at a Christmas thing and Mrs. Claus said to my youngest son, what do you want for Christmas? And he said, puppets. I really want puppets. And she said, oh my God, he's the first child all night that said he wanted puppets. He didn't want games. And I was like, no, don't get me wrong, he likes games too. But puppets are
That's
his main
rare,
thing.
though.
But she was quite shocked by it. And I kind of realised, I suppose, you know, there is a balance of both and that's okay too. I mean, they have to. I mean, I'm useless with technology. I mean, I got lost on the way here, as you know, like it's bloody blaming
I wouldn't
maps,
be the
but it
best
was me.
myself, but yeah, they are just savvies,
They
aren't they?
And you know, look at they have to move with times too.
Yeah.
And like, you know, once we're there as soft landings, I always say, to be that support for if and when they fall. That's the part, isn't it? Kind of being
Yes,
there
to be
support
there for them and listen and support them and try to help them as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like I see that communication is definitely the best thing you can do with your child.
Yeah.
If you can sit down and have a conversation without anything on or going, and you get through that, and you know, I just think it's so good for this generation just to communicate a little bit more. Leave down the phones a little bit more and talk to each other face to face.
Absolutely. No, it is. You're so right.
Yes.
And that's exactly it. And it's lovely that you have that with your child as well. And
Very lucky, yeah.
yeah, we need to do all of that. And I think as I realise how conversations that I will never get to have with other people, I am so aware of that everything has to, like even my husband, like if we ever had, like we've never gone to bed angry. We have never, like we will never go out the door without kissing each other. Like there's all of those things. And part of that is like, we never know, you know, none of us ever know. And it's just cherishing what we do have. And that's all we can do is cherish and kind of mind the people in our lives and look after them, and the rest will look after itself.
Exactly, that's well said. If I was to ask you, what is being met of more to you? The name of the podcast, I always ask this question. What does it, to you, what is being met of more?
Being met of more is that even when you're up against it, which I have been, and even when you think, oh God, this is it. This is what I have to live through.
Yeah.
This is my life, and the next step is going to be more difficult. It's the realisation that you will get through it. Being met of more for me would be, I know this sounds weird, but when I took the focus off myself and put it onto others, that for me was the turning point. And that's why we founded Save. That's why all of these things happened, because it wasn't about us. It was about what can we do for others. And when you take that focus off yourself and it's not all about you, it's amazing. That's when magic can happen. That's when real worth comes into it, because that's when you realise you're actually helping other people. Yeah. And when you help other people, you and yourself, there's a part of you that heals along with that.
100%.
That's where it is. And that's what made it more would be for me. Just kind of doing for others and not always thinking of myself. Like it's not what's in it for me. It's what can I do
for other people.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's what it's.
We are going to wrap this up with a little segment I call Then, Now and Always. It's easy, okay? I promise it's easy.
This is fun. This is so fun.
Music is such a part of me that this had to be the thing we wrap up with. I'm just going to ask you 3 of your favourite songs. So we're going to go Then Would Have Been as a Kid. I know it's so hard to think back.
God,
can you remember?
I will. I can remember. I was obsessed. I'm going to put Laura into this. My cousin, my other cousin Laura, who Shannon. Shannon's going to know what Laura I'm talking about. No, I can't see her there. But Madonna.
Oh, Madonna was just epic.
Lucky Star. And I used to put Laura into my rope. Like, come on, Laura, we'd do the dances and you know, we'd be up in the field where we lived and doing our dance moves. I was obsessed with, like, you know, I can't sing, but you know.
You wanted to be Madonna.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. I wanted.
You did back then.
Back then, Madonna. I was a fan. I mean, Madonna. Like, there's nothing wrong with
everyone was a
Madonna.
fan.
But
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I was a big fan, and you know, Holiday. I love that song, and you know, all of that. So
Brings back memories to being a
brings
kid.
back memories to being a kid. Yeah.
How about now? What's your favourite song now?
Gosh,
or favourite
I
music
have
to listen to now?
different music. Gosh, it's hard. I suppose Heaven, my wedding song. So that really matters to me and my husband. And I think gosh, this
See,
is a hard one.
You're putting the spot. It's so hard.
Wild Horses.
Okay.
It was Susan Boyle's version. I
she's
love.
amazing.
Yeah, and that kind of brings out my emotional side. So whenever I want to go cry, and whenever there's no one around, and
You
when I'm
wanna
in my
connect.
car,
Yeah.
I'll play that, and then I will have a good cry. I find music a great release for me.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, very therapeutic.
It tells its own story.
It does, yeah. It can just bring it out. So sometimes I feel like it's stuck, and I'm like, oh, I need a good
You
cry.
just need a good cry, and
I
then you'll
love
be a
it.
little bit better.
Yeah, you're releasing that oxytocin, that you know, that chemical in your body, isn't it?
Yes.
So it you know this better
Yes.
than I do. As a PT. So you have a better understanding. But that's what it does, and
Yeah.
well, that's what I feel it does for
Yeah.
me, and I love it. So I do that every few months. I make myself cry. I will if
That
I.
really does not clear out your emotion, but you know, you can feel quite heavy with emotion, and after a good cry you can kind of like, okay, I do feel a little bit better. I can cope a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
What will be your always song, always and forever, that you always will love?
Oh.
It's so hard when you have to think about it.
Oh, I'm trying to think, because you know what? When I leave here now, I will have a list.
Yeah, you'll have
And
loads
I will
in your
like, oh,
head.
I need to text her and tell her. I need to tell her what all the songs. I think, God, so many beautiful songs.
There is so many
and
beautiful songs.
So many songs that kind of, I don't know. I like Avicii.
Oh my God, brilliant.
Like,
Yes.
loads.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah. You have a good music library.
I like, my husband has a better one. He's got amazing songs. So whenever he plays his Spotify in the car, I'm like, I love this.
What song is that?
Yeah, there's loads of them. So he's brilliant that way. He's really good with music. And I used to work in EMI, you know, the record label.
Yeah.
With, like artists and all
Oh
that.
my
You think I know off the
God,
top of my
that's
head
okay.
now about
You
actual...
have so much experience in life,
I
Angela.
dunno.
Oh my God, it's
I
crazy.
think I just got bored easily. But no, I love, I think probably Heaven, because it's, you know, my song with Stephen for our wedding, and his dad sang it on our wedding day.
Oh my God,
for
how
us.
special.
He's a brilliant singer. It was his father's band, but his dad didn't sing that, obviously, that
Yeah.
day. But for our wedding song, he got up and sang.
that
and
is
it
so
was
special. You'll
it
always
was
remember
beautiful.
that.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
into me. I really appreciate you sharing your story. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for listening. See you in the next episode.
You've been listening to Made of More with Laura O'Donoghue, proudly sponsored by Empower Fitness Carlow. Train with world-class coaches and join classes built for lifelong results. Get stronger, feel better, be empowered. Find us on Instagram @Empower Fitness Carlow.